Out of the Mouth of Babes, Dorothy Rieke, May 31st, 1952, Sentinel. This was an article from Similar Thoughts from the Association Address, Wonderful Things Are Happening, basically talking about what can God not do. Really powerful stuff. I would definitely recommend reading it. Out of the Mouth of Babes, Dorothy B. Rieke, May 31st, 1952, Sentinel. A 3-year-old child was experiencing his first sailboat ride. Impressed by the expanse of water, he was besieging his mother with questions. Is the water over my head? Yes, she replied. Is it over brother's head? Over your head? Is it over daddy's head? Receiving the affirmative answer to all these questions, he thought for a moment and then, with an absolute confidence, said, but it isn't over God's head. Several months later, a Christian scientist who had heard this conversation found himself in a situation so gravely serious and complicated that he was despairing of a solution and was literally saying, it's beyond me. It's completely over my head. Then came to him again the clear, calm, confident voice of the child, but it isn't over God's head. With renewed hope, he turned to the truths of Christian Science, which had never failed him. Certainly, there is no problem too big, no situation too complicated to defy solution when viewed in the light of truth. When he turned radically to God for guidance, he was rewarded with the following unfoldment. First, soul has infinite resources with which to bless mankind, and happiness would be more readily attained and would be more secure in our keeping if sought in soul. That's from page 60 of the textbook. Because the resources of soul, God, are infinite, they are boundless, unlimited, ever present, ever available. In fact, man has inherited the kingdom. Son, thou art ever with me, and all that I have is thine. That's Luke 15:31. Because the resources are God's, they must necessarily be beautiful, harmonious, wonderful, and good. Since God blesses man with his spiritual bounty, he is endowed with well-being. He is rich in soul's unlimited good. Secondly, divine mind, the all-knowing intelligence, knows which resources best meet the needs of every individual. Your heavenly Father knoweth that ye have need of all these things. That's Matthew 6:32. How far short human planning fails of that all-knowing intelligence. God, mind, employs his resources for man in perfect wisdom. Therefore, for one understanding this, no avenue is blocked, no right desire unsatisfied, no need unprovided. How important it is that we rely completely upon the decisions of our Heavenly Father as to what is best for us. Mankind must not willfully determine, decide, plan, or outline, nor can there be the slightest reservation and a complete willingness to accept joyously and with holy contentment that which God wills. Indeed, mankind must learn to pray humbly. Not my will, but thine be done. Luke 22:42. With what complete assurance, freedom, and confidence can we face the future, knowing that through science, we can prove that God is caring for us in every experience. Thirdly, love inspires, illumines, designates, and leads the way. That's from page 454 of the textbook. It is not a case of God knowing all the answers and our being in the dark, for to those who turn to it, science reveals God's wisdom, which man embodies. Because man coexists with God mind, who knows all things, he understands God's purpose and is always aware of it. Moreover, because there is just one mind, God, which man reflects, it follows that the individual accepting and demonstrating this truth cannot help being conscious of the Father's glorious guidance in each and every new step of progress. How grateful we can be that no matter what human sense would say, God's universal plan is forever in operation. Man is forever coexistent with its unfoldment. There is no excuse for discouragement, because just as God's resources are infinite, just so is the way illumined in a perfect manner. As we seek God's guidance and acknowledge his omniscience, every phase of our experience unfolds and is designated at the right time under the right circumstances. How do we know what is God's will and what is not? That is the beauty of love's inspiration, illumination, and designation. When God's purpose is revealed, the way is so clear, so certain, that not only are we sure of it, but we are led, impelled, compelled to take it. Fourthly, the law of divine principle established the order of all things and constantly operates to maintain the perfection of God's universe. And there is no other power or presence to alter it one iota. This point is vitally important. It eliminates the possibility of there being any error to interfere with the operation of God's law. Referring to this omnipotent power, Mrs. Eddy says in Miscellaneous Writings on page 174, let us open our affections to the principle that moves all in harmony, from the falling of a sparrow to the rolling of a world. There can be no circumstance so great that principle cannot encompass it. There can be no need so insignificant that principle cannot provide for it. Let us follow Mrs. Eddy's admonition to open our affections to principle, to love principle. Let us worship and adore that supreme power which holds the universe in place. Let us revere the law which is so supreme that its very existence completely obviates even the possibility of there being a law to the contrary. There is no medical law, no law of lack or excess, no law of false theology, even to the question principle's enforcement of divine law, much less to interfere with it. The scientist who had once thought his problem beyond solution now realized that it was not over God's head. Joyously, courageously, he faced the future, knowing that soul blesses, mind knows, love designates, and principle operates. In a short time, he found every phase of the problem solved through so satisfying and complete an unfoldment that it could never have been humanly planned. Green pastures were indeed before him. In fact, he rejoiced in the truth that he had always been knee-deep in them.